Look, we gotta talk about this Ryan Garcia and Mario Barrios situation because the streets are buzzing and the vibes are all over the place. Straight up, Ryan is one of the most talented cats to ever lace up a pair of gloves. But talent only gets you so far when the discipline starts slipping. We've seen him cycle through the best trainers in the game: Eddie Reynoso, Joe Goosen, Derek James, and now he's right back with his dad. You gotta ask yourself, why? It's because Ryan wants to be the boss. When you're at that level and you're making that kind of bank,
everybody says, left hand, make sure that's up, you gotta protect it, blah, blah, blah. That's what I would imagine he's saying. And gotta take that away. It's probably, other little things like that. They drill a lot of just keeping the hands up all day long. So it's like here, 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 here. But, this freestyle type of boxing, with technique is gonna overwhelm this man.
Trainers like Reynoso or Derek James aren't gonna let you slide. They got their own legacies. If you ain't following the rules, they're out. So, Ryan goes back to where he's comfortable. But boxing ain't a comfort business, homie.
But the fact that Ryan, has gone through 3 top trainers that would have done a great job: Eddie Reynoso, Joe Goosen, and Derek James.
Correct.
And he's not training with neither of them. He's training with his dad.
Did Ryan Garcia ever allow those trainers to be the boss?
That's why he's back with his dad, because he's the boss. That's why.
Yeah.
Look, Joe Goosen, I know Joe Goosen. My brother used to train with him. He's not gonna just let you get away with stuff like that. Derek James shouldn't either. Eddie Reynoso doesn't need. He's made so much money with Canelo that if you want to come to me, it's gonna be under my rules. Mm-hmm. And if that didn't work, then Ryan's back. So that's I give that big advantage to Barrios to even pull that off.
See, that's the thing about boxing, and Big Baby Miller pointed it out, because there's no structure.
Look at the Denver Broncos when they had Russell Wilson. The man had his own office, his own squad, and the whole thing was a straight-up disaster. That's what a world-class trainer like Goosen or James does. They make you uncomfortable. When he was too comfortable, he wasn't the same beast. When a fighter gets too much control over their own camp, they start limiting their own ceiling.
You need some kind of structure. In the NFL, the guy has to sit there for the media interview. He shows up on time, he's got to do it. And to give you an NFL analogy, think about the Broncos, right? When they had Russell Wilson over there and he had his own office and everything. And it was nothing, it was dysfunctional. Then they hired Sean Payton.
Cut it out.
As a coach, that's like going to train with Goosen or going to train with a world-class.
Max Kellerman is out here saying Ryan's raw talent isn't going to be enough against a dog like Barrios if he doesn't have that structure. If you're just freestyle boxing without the technique to back it up, you're playing a dangerous game.
And you knew as soon as Sean Payton got there, ain't no one's going to have their own office, and you turn around a couple years later, and they're great, they're in the playoffs, right? That's the thing in boxing, when fighters want it comfortable, right? Sometimes when Miguel Cotto would want to train in certain places because it was more comfortable for him, I thought, I want to see the Miguel Cotto when it's uncomfortable, right? And Cotto's a great fighter, of course, and a serious person, but the fighter really has a little too much control when they reach a certain level sometimes of their own career, which is good in one way, but in another way can limit them athletically. Because boxing is not a comfort.
Now, Mario Barrios, that man is a different breed. He's the champ for a reason, and he's looking at Ryan like he's just another live opponent trying to snatch his belt. Barrios isn't checking for the social media drama or the noise surrounding Ryan.
Boxing is not a comfort business.
But do you think it's more of his opponent, where maybe I could get away with training with my dad, compared to if I'm fighting a top dude?
It'd be a big mistake to underestimate him.
Right, and it's like everyone thought he was going to win that fight, and Rolly just outboxed him. Rolly outboxed him and looked good doing it. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's crazy. I wish that Ryan, because he's so talented, I wish he would stick to a coach and really just follow the instructions.
Ryan will win this fight.
He's focused on the flaws. He's seen Ryan get dropped by that double left hook, and he's planning to exploit every single weakness. Mario's a finisher, one of the best in the game.
Yeah, just, we're gonna use that, in every way, to grow as a fighter.
And he knows Ryan's eyes and nose swell up fast. He's seen him look like the elephant man after a tough scrap.
You just said you're the better fighter. Who's put more on the line with your title or his credibility?
I feel like, I'm going into this fight like, I have, everything to lose. I have the title. I know he's coming, with a lot to prove, but the end of the day, I'm the champion. You know, I'm looking to defend.
If this turns into a bloody physical war, Barrios is ready to go out on his shield. He's got everything to lose his title.
That he's working with a trainer you're familiar with, then...
Oh, yeah, in my eyes, you know. But, hey, because I know I've already said some stuff that guy's already told him. But again, like he said, boxing is one-on-one. At the end of the day, he's a free thinker. I'm a free thinker.
Ryan said, Joe's not going to stop this fight. It's going to be a physical fight, a bloody fight. You're smiling when you're hearing that. Is that the kind of fight you want?
Not necessarily that it's the fight I want, but it's never a fight that I shy away from. I've gone out of my shield before. Like I said, you know, every time I step in there, you know, I give it, you know, whatever I have that day. And if that's the way like this fight goes, if it ends in a bloody battle, then, you know, it does, you know, and I've never shied away from that.
I respect that. I honestly do. I do see that in him. He definitely gives everything he got in that ring.
His pride, and he's not letting some social media star take that away without a fight. And let's be real about Ryan's headspace. He's still stuck on that Devin Haney fight. He's out here admitting he didn't finish Haney because his conditioning was trash. He was playing around, acting a fool in the 11th round instead of closing the show. Now he's vowing that next time.
Lock up top 3. Lock up top 3. Lock up top 3-2. Yeah.
But Wade Plemons is out here warning him if Ryan plays around with a guy like Barrios, he might never box again. The stakes are sky high.
I'm interested to see what Ryan takes away from those fights. What can Ryan and his style, that kind of freestyle boxing he says he does, what can he implement from either of those guys to beat Barrios?
One of the best finishers in boxing. Like, I know you didn't finish Devin Haney, but you had him drown.
I saved him. I should have knocked him. I just didn't have the conditioning.
I think it still bothers you, huh?
Yes, because I should have knocked him out in that 11th, man. I was playing around too much. Yeah. And I was like, ha ha. Like, bro. Man. But next time, that next time, buddy,
there we go again.
You won't have a next time. I'm finishing you. You will never box again if we fight again, and you know that. And I have vowed to that. If we fight again, you will never box again. I promise you that.
Gee, this is what I'm saying, bro. We need this fight. I've said it so many times.
And we don't even know which Ryan is going to show up. Is it the focused killer who took down Luke Campbell, or the distracted one who looked lifeless against Rolly Romero?
And someone's against him. When people think he'll lose. When it's a different challenge to him, even though the Rolly fight was a huge challenge. It was a world title shot, right? But you think back through Ryan's career and the fights where he performs better. The Oscar Duarte fight, he thought Oscar De La Hoya and all of Golden Boy was against him. Obviously, the Devin Haney fight, no one thought he'd win. The Luke Campbell fight, you know, Luke was an Olympian, so that was a big deal as well. The Gervonta Davis fight, he just lost. I mean, yes, the weight cut, whatever, but Ryan lost. But the mentality of Ryan, that's the thing that's so all over the place from time to time that you just don't know what Ryan you're going to get. I don't know what Ryan we're going to get in the Mario Barrios fight. He's saying all the right stuff. He's trained hard, right? He's acting like this is the one, but mentally is it, right? Because he kind of said the right stuff. He was a little quieter last time with the Rolly fight, but he said the right stuff, and it's hard to know, dude. It is, because Another thing you worry about, I keep looking at this picture of Ryan.
Ryan's mentality is all over the map. One minute he's training like a demon. The next he's caught up in the drug test controversies and the background noise. On the technical side, Tim Bradley is breaking down that 45 punch Ryan's been working on, that half hook, half uppercut.
Barrios is a counterpuncher, and he likes to stay, again, close to mid-range to outside, mid-range to outside. So he's like, a step or two, I would say a step, right in mid-range when he's firing shots. And so sometimes he'll throw those single jabs at mid-range, and he can be countered with the right hand. But we all know that Ryan Garcia, hopefully his right hand is back, operating. If his right hand is operating, he should have a field day, taking advantage of that, mid-range jab coming from Barrios. And he does it a lot, man. He really does. A lot of stuff that he does, he has good form and technique on it, Barrios. But it's just subtle mistakes that he makes. Like just stand near the pocket after he gets done working so guys can attack him after he gets done.
Oscar De La Hoya used to wreck people with. If Ryan's right hand is actually working and his timing is on point, he could have a field day. Barrios likes to hang out in the pocket, and he's susceptible to those flush right hands and left hooks. But Barrios is a counterpuncher who knows how to step in and fire that jab.
Get Ryan as an opponent. Obviously, I'll put respect on the speed, the power, the confidence, and all that, but it's been a weird stretch for him in the ring, to be fair. The lifeless loss to Rolly Romero, the spectacular victory over Devin Haney, but obviously the drug test, everything that went on around that mentally, and certainly at the end of the day, we wish Ryan well. How do you sort of gauge where he's at as a fighter entering this fight?
It's hard to say really, where exactly he's at, but I just had to prepare as if I have a focused Ryan in front of me, as they're saying. And yeah, just everything else kind of just is just background noise. Wait to look at Ryan's at his best performances, when he has looked extraordinary.
If Ryan's timing is off even by a millisecond, Barrios is gonna make him pay. It's a chess match with high-speed consequences.
And he's a character to be around. But no, the move to go be with Joe was gonna happen. Whether this fight with Ryan was made or not. I was definitely just after the pocket fight looking at what steps I wanted to make, moving forward, to just, continue to just grow as a fighter, to just continue to just, work on, I guess, yeah, just to work on myself and, get back to some of the things that has, that got me this far in the first place. Earlier in my career, I was definitely, a lot more aggressive. I had a much higher punch output, and so even my team sat down and were like, why not change the scenery?
People like to compare Ryan to George Kambosos, but they're polar opposite. Kambosos didn't have the natural gifts, but he had that grit, that dog in him to grind out a win against Teofimo Lopez.
Onset about being a star. Kambosos was never a star. Kambosos was never that popular, not the way that Ryan Garcia is. So Ryan's here because of that. And yes, he does have some physical gifts and a ton of physical talent, and physical gifts that make him, must-watch TV when he's on. But we haven't seen him on in a long time. And, he hasn't gotten to that position. It's hard to compare him with George because George was the opposite. George was just a hard worker. George always came in shape. But in terms of talent, he was lacking. But he got that big win off of heart and grit. And man, did he cash out on that win, because he made so much money after those fights, got himself into so many opportunities that he never would have gotten if he had lost to Teofimo Lopez and became undisputed. Ryan is still yet to be world champion. These guys are almost like literally polar opposites of each other.
Ryan has all the gifts, but hasn't reached that undisputed status yet. He's a star because he's must-watch TV, but being a star don't win you world titles in the long run. If the fighter is the boss and everyone around him is just a yes man, you can't fix the mistakes. You can be the best coach on the planet, but if your fighter isn't listening, you're just a passenger.
Every trainer is going to do his best to try to correct that and try to get Ryan to do it, but at the end, it's going to be Ryan himself. It's his things going on in his world, his family, his friends, himself, with all those personal problems. At the end, there's nothing a trainer could do if the fighter doesn't respond, if the fighter doesn't listen, if the fighter doesn't do it. And most of the times, when fighters are that big, like Ryan is, they're the bosses. They call the shots, and the trainer, everybody around them are just the yes men, and that's a problem. That's a problem, and we can't fix that with nobody. You could be the best trainer in the world, but if you got a boss, as a fighter, then and you're a yes man, there's nothing you could do. Ain't nobody gonna fix.
Ryan's got the speed, the power, and the fame, but Barrios has the belt and the discipline. We're gonna find out if Ryan's freestyle life can survive a championship-level reality check. It's gonna be explosive, it's gonna be bloody, and you better believe the whole world is watching to see if the king actually has a crown or if he's just chasing clout. This ain't social media, this is the squared circle, and there ain't no delete button when those heavy hands start landing. Stay tuned, because this one is gonna be epic.